applicant number 2 in the name of, jointly in the names of the Deputies Dominic, Hannigan and Gerald Nash, and it's to the Minister for Communications, Energy and Natural Resources the need to review the catch and release salmon fishing policy on the rivers Boyne, the Dee, the Glyde and the Castletown River in Louth. The Deputies has 4 minutes in total, that's 2 each, and then Minister has 4 minutes and a supplementary minute each to the 2 Deputies.
Thank you very much, Chair. As Minister O'Dowd knows only too well, since September 2006, angling on the River Boyne, with the exception of some sea trout fishing by a small number of anglers in midsummer, has all but ceased. I think it's a saddening development for those who traditionally fished on the River Boyne, and indeed for the many, many young people who wish to engage in salmon fishing and experience what angling has to offer. As you know very well, Minister, the Castletown River and Louth, the Dee and Glyde are also subject to the strict salmon catch and release policy. Deputy Hannigan and I recently met with representatives of the North East Federation of Salmon Anglers to discuss their legitimate concerns in relation to the implementation of the catch and release policy and some of the assumptions underlying that. Clubs such as the Drogheda District Anglers Club, the Rosslyn Slane Anglers Association, the Dee and Glyde Club and others see themselves as responsible custodians of the river, and they've been raising concerns for some time now having regard to the methodology applied to many rivers in Louth and Meath, which have essentially copper fastened this catch and release policy since 2006. They, as you know, Minister, want to work in partnership with Inland Fisheries Ireland. They've asked questions about the methodology applied that, in their view, have yet to be adequately addressed by the authorities. So it's my opinion, my firm opinion, from speaking with those involved, that it is timely now that we review the policy, taking on board the relevant and experienced views of, and the evidence indeed supplied by the local anglers and fishing clubs and federations in the area.
Thank you very much. And just to concur with what Deputy Nash said, I know, Minister O'Dowd, you've met this group yourself on many occasions. I get out fishing as often as I can myself, not often enough, but as you know, it's a very important pastime in Ireland, and it's also a strength of revenues to the Exchequer, because we do see a lot of tourists, particularly from the continent, coming into Ireland to fish in our waters. So it is very important that we get this issue right, this issue of catch and release. And as Deputy Nash said, there is contention out there at the moment as to whether or not we're measuring the amount of fish in our rivers correctly. Now, Minister, I wrote to you about this subject last April, and I received a reply from you, and you talked about the forecast model that they used to identify the number of fish in the rivers. For the Glyde River, we're talking about a forecast of about 19% of the conservation limit for the salmon, and for the River Dee, 27%. Now, from speaking to the fishermen locally who know the rivers in question, they think these figures are very low, and all we're looking for here, Minister, is for your officials to go back and talk again with the local fishermen and try to come up with a revised methodology where they're happy with the numbers, where both sides can agree on what exact numbers there are of fish in the rivers, to as close an estimate as possible. Because at the moment, we contend that we're underestimating the amount of fish there, and that it would be okay to lift the catch and release scheme. So thank you very much for your time on this.
Thank you, Deputy.
I'd like to thank the deputies for bringing this matter to my attention. And as they point out, I'd be very happy to meet them at any stage, particularly as we're from the same town. I'd be very happy and have met all of the angling organisations in the county of Louth. I've met them in RD, I've met them in Drogheda, I've met them on Friday afternoons, I've met them on Wednesday nights. I've had, just want to make this exactly clear, gentlemen, because I want to be exactly specific in this matter. Kieran Byrne, the Chief Executive Officer of Inland Fisheries Ireland, has always made his stuff available to everybody concerned. He's visited on Friday afternoons, on Wednesdays. They've gone to Dundalk. His senior management team has met on a number of occasions with everybody. So the first point is very clear. IFI and myself are very happy to meet, to look at all the facts. But we have to deal with facts. And the facts are, as I'm going to outline them to you now. First of all, it's not true to say that as Deputy Nash said, that there's no fishing on the Boyne. There is fishing on the Boyne, Deputy. There's catch and release fishing. That allows people to fish and to catch. It doesn't allow them to keep, and I think you're probably misinformed in that respect. The Standing Scientific Committee for Salmon has identified 143 rivers throughout the country which contain actually 152 fisheries because some rivers have other tributaries. In 2013, 94 fisheries were open for angling. 62 fisheries are open because there was a surplus of fish. 32 fisheries are classified as open for angling on a catch and release basis, and 58 were actually closed because there was no surplus fish. In 2006, the government of that time committed to aligning with the scientific advice and moved to restricting the harvest of fish to those which are meeting their conservation limits. The effect of this advice was that mixed stock fisheries were closed. Indiscriminate mixed stock salmon fisheries at sea was ceased. That is, drift netting at sea was effectively stopped. There are 5 salmon rivers in the Dundalk district which are assessed on an annual basis: the Florey, the Fane, the Castletown, the Dee and the Glyde. There is only 1 salmon river in the Drogheda district which is scientifically assessed on an annual basis, and that is the Boyne. In 2013, one of these 6 rivers, the River Fane, is open to harvesting salmon. Of the remainder, the Florey is closed to all angling, and the remainder, the Boyne, the Glyde, the Castletown and the Dee, are open for catch and release. So they are actually open for fishing. Ireland manages salmon stocks on an individual river basis due to the fact that each river contains a genetically unique stock. So each river has a genetically unique stock. It only belongs to that river, and that's why each river is so important, because they're all different. These fish then migrate to sea as juveniles and return in adulthood to spawn. The conservation imperative means that exploitation of salmon on each river is only permitted where the independent science says, and this includes experts from the National Parks and Wildlife, the Lochs Agency, the ESB, the Marine Institute and so on, when they determine that the science says that it is open. So it's not a political issue, it's not an administrative issue, it is what the scientific facts are. Now, in my speech you can see what the conservation limits are. But significant analysis has been carried out by Inland Fisheries Ireland through the use of catchment-wide electrofishing. In other words, not just going on conservation figures, but they go into the fisheries and they do electrofishing to find out, well, maybe there are fish here, that we haven't found. Maybe there's an issue here, so they designate further and other research, because the goal of IFI is one and only, is to protect the stock, to make it available for the future and forever. But also, if the conservation limit is exceeded, that yes, you can catch and you can keep. Now, the figures...
Minister, you'll have to conclude now.
I'll have to conclude. Well, I can come back in the second half because I'm entitled to return.
Okay.
But I don't know if you have the speech there or not. But there are facts and figures. I'd like you to address them because I think we want to be very clear on this issue.
Yeah, thank you, Minister. Deputies, you have 2 minutes in total. That's 1 minute each for your supplementary statement.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just want to be very clear as well, Chair, in relation to what I said. I didn't say that fishing on the River Boyne had ended, but I did say that for all objective evidence, certainly from my own eyes and the experience of local fishermen, that in many respects it has all but ceased in recent years. Certainly the level of activity isn't the same as it used to be, and that's understandable given the catch and release policy. Essentially what Deputy Hannigan and I are suggesting is that the policy be further reviewed, and that IFI continue to work on a partnership basis with local anglers to try to achieve the best possible outcome from a conservation point of view, which is extremely important, and also from the point of view of those fishermen, not just now, but the young people as well, who wish to engage in angling and wish to see a situation where they can aspire, at least over the next period of time, to having a catch and keep situation.
Thank you. Deputy Hannigan, you have 1 minute.
Thank you, Laskin Cora. And I'd like to thank the Minister for his comments today and thank him for his statement that he's very happy to meet, and indeed I recognise completely, as did the fishermen, that you, Minister, have been very willing to meet them at any occasion, and I welcome that. I'd also like to thank you for the additional updated information contained within your presentation and speech this afternoon. And I just would ask that one further thing. They have, to date, the fishermen have received no formal response from the IFI to the submission that they made in May 2012. Now, some of the information has come back informally, but I would ask that a formal response is made to their submission of that date. So thank you again, Minister.
Happy to get a formal response.
2 minutes,
Absolutely, thank you very much. I think the clarity is in the figures there, if I can address point number 5 there. So if you ask to open up a river for catch and kill or catch and keep, say the Florey, it's at 23% of its conservation limit, so it's well below. And even if they were only counting every second fish instead of every one, they would still be only at 46%. They wouldn't even have half of the limit they would need to catch and keep. So I think we have to deal with facts here. And I'll be very happy to meet with the deputies concerned and indeed to arrange, if there's any data that you feel you haven't got or the fishermen feel they haven't got, to get it to them. But I think the summary of the situation is, I'm very brief in this. There are 32 fisheries in Ireland open on a catch and relief basis, and to unilaterally open the 4 rivers in the Drogheda and the Dock district to harvesting, I believe, would set a dangerous precedent and would ultimately compromise the entire scientific process which the government agreed to back in 2006. In short, the rivers are open for catch and release angling, and therefore there are angling opportunities. But there are a small minority who believe they should be able to take fish and they don't wish to engage in the conservation-focused practice of releasing fish. But I accept and acknowledge that the vast majority of people we're talking about are not in that category. I'll be very happy to meet. I meet all the time up and down the country. And to be honest, you know, I'm surprised that you put this down instead of asking to meet with me. And so I could go through all these facts rather than to give them to you here in this very public place. But I'll do it any time. But I prefer to meet with you, deputies, to go through it individually, by river, by visit, by location, whatever you want. I'll get the facts out first. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. The next